Welcome to this episode of Janet Today, Janet Tomorrow, Janet Forever, the podcast where two cousins discuss all things Janet Jackson. Today we are going to talk about Janet Jackson's That's the Way Love Goes. My name is Courtney Stribling, and I am here with my cousin
Kam, residing in the Mississippi Gulf Coast. I love music and football.
All right. I am Courtney Stribling. I am living in Charlotte, North Carolina, but I'm really still a Detroit girl at heart. I'm a writer. I have a web series called Dick Kelly. And I'm also finishing a holiday comedy that I expect to shoot in early fall.
And you're also a real estate investor?
I am that as well. You and I share a great love for music. It's one of the things that we bonded over every summer when I came to visit you guys in Mississippi.
We were always trading cassette tapes and talking about music videos. Do you remember when we were obsessed with The Boys when we saw Dial My Heart?
Yes, Hakeem was my first love.
And I was going to marry Taj.
Our tastes in music have certainly changed and grown over the years, but one thing that has literally lasted our entire lives is our love for Janet Jackson.
That's right. Yesterday, today, and forever.
Do you remember what first grabbed you, what pulled you into Janet Jackson?
I really actually fell in love with the Jacksons. Dad had this Motown 25 collection.
Wait a minute. Uncle Charles bought this off of Time Life?
Yes. Yes, don't laugh. Yes, we were jamming.
Oh my goodness. I didn't know I knew anybody who actually called those numbers on those late night commercials.
We ordered it, and that's when I heard I Want You Back. And that really made me really fall in love with the whole Motown Jackson sound. And then from there, when I saw the video for Let's Wait a While, I was hooked on Janet from there. So through Michael is how I connected with Janet. And then, of course, I ended up falling in love with 3T, Jermaine, all of them. I keep up with them like they my family.
Listen, I understand. If I'm remembering correctly, my first foray was actually Janet, and then Janet pulled me into the rest of the family. So yes, I am probably equally obsessed with Michael Jackson and the Jackson 5. But it was Janet. I think Pleasure Principle was the first video I can remember being mesmerized. It came on, and I don't know that I blinked from start to finish. And I was hooked. I was all the way in. There was no going back. And I remember seeing that video a couple times because, this was back when videos came on Saturday mornings. And I remember seeing this video every Saturday for many Saturdays in a row.
For real? You don't remember Video Vibrations and Video Soul on BET?
I absolutely remember Video Soul, but this could have been before I had cable.
Oh,
because I remember it was whatever the Casey Kasem countdown show was that came on Saturday mornings. That's where I would see it. But also, my family was late adopters. We didn't have cable forever. I saw cable at my friend's house. So any technology that came out, just assume that we got it 3 years later. So yes, the Pleasure Principle is what got me hooked on Janet. And literally from there, it's been nonstop. Anything Janet Jackson does, anything she says, if she sneezes, I want to be there. I want to know what's going on.
I truly believe she's your favorite artist.
Exactly. Yes. So in addition to talking about Janet Jackson news, each time you and I get together, Kam, we'll be talking about a specific song. And we'll also cover some moderately adjacent news. We'll play some games and a few other topics, I'm sure.
One thing I am excited about is Essence Festival. It's coming up in July. I've never experienced Essence, but I've always wanted to go. And when I heard that Janet was actually going to headline, I was very excited. And I don't want to do a whole weekend in New Orleans, but the dates came out. And Janet will be closing down the Essence Festival on Sunday night.
Okay. So does that mean you're going?
I'm more tempted to go now. But she also has some other dates coming up. Of course, it was announced that she's going to do the Outlands Music Festival.
And then also Panorama.
Yeah.
She's actually going to be the first female headliner for the Outlands Festival, which is really phenomenal. The longevity of her career and the fact that she's still making firsts. This woman is still rocking. She'll be 52 this year, and she is still the one to beat.
And I'm just glad to see her staying out on the road and coming back to the U.S. and doing dates and stuff.
And, I was a little surprised at the number of festivals. We keep hearing about these festivals, considering she just finished the State of the World tour. One of the reasons you and I wanted to have these discussions is because, we were a little nervous, Typically, when Janet Jackson finishes a project or finishes a tour, it is radio silence. Like, she vanishes from the landscape.
Yeah.
You never hear or see from her again until she's ready to pop out. And it's usually years between those events. So, you and I were talking like these tweets are going to go away. Instagram's going to be so dry.
Not going to hear from Janet.
No, Janet will be gone and, we'll be left to our own devices. So I am excited to see that she's still out and still doing it. And I think she really enjoys it. So I love when people love what they do. And I don't care what it is. I don't care if you are a street sweeper, you're a garbage collector, you're a doctor. I love seeing people who love what they do. And she just gives me joy just because I think that she genuinely loves what she does.
She's the queen. Are you going to catch any of these dates?
It's a lot going on right now. So I always want to be where Janet Jackson is. And in fact, I flew to Detroit for the State of the World tour to catch her with one of our other cousins. And it was phenomenal.
Right.
I've seen her several times. And a lot of times I see her because I always tell myself, like, this could be it. Like, she could retire. She has really no reason to keep doing this. And so, like, every tour, I'm like, I gotta go because this could be it. And so I've done that with everyone. And this summer is kind of busy. But because if you are going to try to make Essence that Sunday night, then I might try to make it with you.
I love the fact that Jen is actually embracing new artists that are out there. She was praising the artist Her.
Right.
I caught myself going to YouTube and like, let me check this artist out.
I did as well.
She did not disappoint. I'm really feeling her, and she kind of got the Jackson seal of approval. So
I love that she is not afraid to let her light shine on others, and she's always been that way. Like, there's quite a few artists who are still around today that have their careers are what they are because Janet put them on, and she did it quietly. Like Usher. I think it was the Velvet Rope tour. I remember it's the first time I saw Usher in concert. Usher opened for Janet Jackson.
Really?
Yes.
I did not know that.
And we know what she did for NSYNC and for the ungrateful Justin Timberlake.
I hear that you had an interesting decision to make as far as Justin Timberlake.
Yes.
Come on, you got to talk about it.
Yes. So you will know my grievances with Justin Timberlake.
More like a grudge.
Okay, if you want to call it a grudge, fine. And I am not a vengeful person. I do not hold grudges. Like, I'm sure I've been wronged in life, but I can literally think of like only two things still stick in my mind that I'm like still a little perturbed about. But in general, if you wrong me, we move on. Life goes on, But this Justin Timberlake Super Bowl situation still really gets to me all of these years later. And Janet rose above it and she maintained her career and, she went out and continued to do her thing and she continued to hold her head up high. Mm-hmm. And we know it was not easy, but she survived it, right? But she shouldn't have had to do it and she shouldn't have had to do it alone. And while her career, like every roadblock possible was put out in front of her, it seemed like Justin Timberlake's career seemed to immediately take off after that point.
Right.
And he had an opportunity to do the right thing, and he still has the opportunity to do the right thing. He could issue an apology. He could clarify the situation. There are lots of things he could do, but he won't, and he hasn't. And maybe he's done so in private. I don't know. It wasn't there. But
yeah,
I haven't seen anything that would lead me to believe that that situation is done.
Unlike you, I don't hold a grievance against Justin Timberlake. So you got offered these Justin Timberlake tickets and turned them down?
I did. And I thought about it for a hot second and I just couldn't do it. Like, for one, if I'm being honest, mm-hmm. and I know I'm the outsider here, I'm not that overly impressed with Justin Timberlake's talent. So, they say talent will make room, right? Like, talent will excuse a multitude of errors, whether it should or shouldn't. But to me, his talent isn't big enough to excuse this error. So, yeah, I had free tickets to go see Justin Timberlake. And it was actually at a new arena that I've been to before. The only time I went there was for Janet Jackson's State of the World.
Okay.
I loved it. And I have been looking for an excuse to go back.
Mm-hmm.
But Justin Timberlake was not it. And it hurt my heart because I don't turn down free. So I have seen a lot of nonsense because free. But I couldn't do it. I'm sorry. I was even irritated at the State of the World tour Janet Jackson's DJ Active, who is awesome. Like, he's phenomenal. His mixes had people on their feet dancing from the time they came in the seats to the time the show started. But I was a little irritated because there were several Justin Timberlake songs in this mix. And then I'm like, bruh, do you not know? Bruh.
If you have betrayed the tribe.
Yes. Get your crate and go. Like, this is unacceptable.
But if I could be honest, it would be a hard situation for me just because I do like JT, but I'm not impressed with his latest project. And the only thing I really didn't care for was the fact that once it got closer to the Super Bowl performance, then he started saying me and Janet made peace. And I was just like, yeah, but why you telling us this all these years later? He had so many opportunities to say, look, you guys, Janet didn't stage this, but instead he was just like, I apologize. Now I want to perform on the Grammys.
Right.
So that's my little gripe with him. But I always try to say, well, he was a young kid in the industry. As far as the tickets, I don't know if I would have took them or went, just because his latest project to me is not the best. So I felt like I could just watch some old YouTube clips. That's how I feel.
Fair enough.
Because I'm not for sure if you were able to catch this post by Jermaine Dupri on Twitter, where he was kind of giving the rapper Talib Kweli the face.
Yeah, I did see it, and it was pretty funny. Apparently, many years ago, when Talib Kweli was recording with Jermaine Dupri, he had the chance to go out with Janet Jackson and Jermaine Dupri. The punchline of the story was, never let the Jermaine Dupri and Janet Jackson take you to a strip club for your first experience, because no experience after that will live up to that. So he basically was like, they have ruined it for me because it will never be that awesome again.
Do you think Jermaine got that phone call that most guys get from their girlfriend when something done came out that was supposed to be in between them? You know that, hey, what's up with your boy?
Right.
Why your boy running his mouth? And that's why Beyonce got everybody signing NDAs now.
Listen. Janet Jackson, all evidence points to, runs a tight ship.
Right.
Nothing gets out. Like, we've all speculated about relationships she's had and this or that, but them dudes don't say nothing. So I gotta believe that there's a stack of paperwork prohibiting people from sharing information. So this little story, this little tidbit is really interesting.
And we know Janet has that side because of some of her songs, but I don't think he's supposed to tell that. He's not invited to the club no more. Not with Janet.
Yeah. I think he was well aware that was his last trip. So let's get into this week's song.
All right.
That's the way love goes.
This is my summer groove. Like, especially during the summer in my car, this is one of the jams I like to put on just because it's so relaxed and so mellow. I love this jam. It's probably in my top 5 of Janet's greatest hits. What about you, cuz?
So I love this song, and I love it with my whole heart.
Not half a heart, the whole heart.
I love it. Like, so I am not a person who can listen to the same songs over and over and over. Like, eventually I will just get sick of them, and when it comes on, I will run for the radio to turn it off as quickly as possible.
Right.
But this is one of those songs that I have never gotten tired of. Like, I don't care where it comes on. Like, if it's on in a TV show or if it comes on the radio, whatever it is, I got to stop and have a moment. Like, I love this song. I love it a lot. And it is my summer song. Like, I think of it the same way that I think about DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince.
Yeah.
Summertime. Like, I think about this song in exactly that same space. So how do I feel about it? I love it.
Yeah. And this was like a big transition from the Rhythm Nation to the Janet album. The Rhythm Nation project to me was kind of like dark because she was covering so many serious topics. And I guess just looking back at it now, I can tell that, you know, as she was growing as a person and beginning to really kind of discover herself, you can kind of see towards the end of the project that she was, blooming or discovering more about herself. And even before the Janet project came out, I remember she released The Best Things in Life is Free, which is one of my favorite tracks. I know how you feel about that. I heard it in Walgreens and I thought it was the bomb. Tell you, I was jamming in the aisle at Walgreens.
I really tried to suppress my laugh. It just ran up out of me.
Don't suppress it. But I'm for real, because now that I think about it, because like she had gave us Love Would Never Do Without You.
Uh-huh.
And, she was laughing. She's showing that classic smile that Janet has. And you could tell that she just was becoming comfortable as a woman. And then with that follow-up joint of, Best Things in Life Free, it still had that like that rhythm.
Yeah, it was happy and bubbly and light.
So when I finally heard That's the Way Love Goes going into the Janet project, it just felt like Janet was like, I'm owning it. I guess you can say I'm owning my womanhood. And that's one of the things that main thing that sticks out to me about this transition from Rhythm Nation to the Janet project.
And they talk a lot, like Jimmy Jam talks about how this album was their album of love.
Mm-hmm.
Like he said, everybody who kind of worked on this project, they were all in such a good place,
Mm-hmm.
Janet and her relationship, Jimmy and his relationship and Terry. And you can definitely feel it on this album. And that's one of the things that I love about Janet Jackson albums is it's like a diary. Like, what she's thinking about, what she's feeling.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as you press play, you kind of know. So this album is fun to me because it just reminds me that she was in such a happy place and it kind of permeated through that whole album. Another thing about this, when we talk about the transition from Rhythm Nation to the Janet album, this was when she was negotiating for a new contract. So she had been with A&M Records for the previous 4 albums, and now she was in a space to negotiate for a new contract. And so this Janet album was a big deal because at the time, she signed the contract, which was the largest for a female recording artist ever. Mm-hmm. So she's got the pressure of a new label and then the pressure of, all of this money that they've given her. And now all eyes are on her expecting, big things. And so when we talk about Janet, we talk about, a trailblazer and a trendsetter in every way, whether it's music sense or business sense. She definitely opened some doors for female performers who came after her.
She got the big contract before, like the big names like Whitney Houston and Madonna got their big contracts. Janet is the reason why they got their contracts. When it comes to like the track itself, it kind of puts me in that Sade kind of mood, because Sade had that silky, laid back, smooth, relaxing move. And this track kind of takes me there. And I think that was another reason why it was kind of like a curveball to see Janet do that. Because now she's showing this sexy side, this sultry side, this innocent side of her, the playfulness. Like, she's feeling this guy and, she's bubbling with love and she just let it oozes all over this track.
Yeah, Rolling Stone, I think, described this song perfectly. They described the song as a warm bed of soul sounds. And I was like, that encaptures it so perfectly. During the time, lots of press really loved this particular song. The Gawker, when they reviewed That's the Way Love Goes in 2012, they called this song is all about the audacity of chill. And exactly, like it was warm, it was smooth, it was subtle. It was that song where if you were going to make your laid back chill on the sofa, this song was Netflix and chill before Netflix and chill, right? like that's how it makes me feel. You just feel warm, you feel pampered, you feel covered, you feel loved, when you hear this song, when it hits your ears.
And from my understanding, how the track actually came about was Jimmy and Terry, the production team, they wanted to use this track, Papa Don't Take No Mess, and Impeach the President, which has been sampled. I mean, it's in the world records as being the most sampled drum loop ever. I mean, J. Cole, everyone, all the hip hop stars uses it. and they actually built the track around that sample, which lets you know how genius of a production team they were to hear this beat and say, hey, this is where we can give her a little hip hop, give her a little R&B, soul, and bring it all in together.
Right. And they went all out to make sure that they could get clearance from James Brown, because at the time he was very tired of hip hop artists, particularly sampling his music. And so basically it was a no across the board at this time for him. Like anybody that was coming to him to use a track, he was pretty much giving them the cold shoulder because he had had enough. But he, Jam and Jan's team went and they did get clearance for the song. So of course Jimmy Jam's super excited and they're ready to make this banging track. And then they give it to Janet after it's all said and done, and she hears the track and she's just kind of like, yeah, so what else you got? She was not over the moon at first, and kind of had to sit with it for a little bit before she came around.
Kind of piggyback off the James Brown thing. I wonder why he did that, because he made money off of Hammer. Now I know why other legends and stars have griped about the sample, but come on, this Michael's baby sister. Come on, boy. You really want to get Janet some issues with her using your track? I
don't know if it was her in particular or it was the group at large. I think that by the time it got to where they were ready to make a track, he had already had enough. So I don't think when she went to him and asked, I know that he did ask for permission to hear the song, how they were going to use it before it was released. I know he asked for that, but I don't know that he gave her too much of a hassle. But I think just even before they asked, they kind of were already prepared for a fight because they know
Papa don't take no mess.
Yeah, basically. Pretty much. Word had gotten around that he was tired of y'all's nonsense.
And he had been through some things. Y'all seen the story. Y'all seen the movie. James had been through some stuff.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. And I imagine Janet wasn't impressed with the track because she probably was expecting, okay, same thing. Maybe she was thinking in the back of her head, okay, at A&M Records, this is what worked. Dance, pop, you do this and that. Let's not mess that up. And so when she probably heard the track, I'm just assuming now that maybe she was like, this not a home run. Because I always feel like artists are competitive, and so they're always trying to hit another home run.
Right.
And maybe she first heard it, she was like, this ain't a home run. Give me something else, because Madonna's out there on the charts. I got Whitney Houston. I got Mariah Carey. I got to hit this one.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. So the story goes that she actually took this song on vacation with her and kind of fell in love with the track. She had asked them to put the tracks on a cassette so she could think about, concepts and lyrics and all of that stuff while she was away on vacation. And she came back really in love with That's the Way Love Goes, but she didn't have a song for it. She didn't have a title for it. She didn't have anything.
Mm-hmm.
So she's staying at Jimmy Jam's house. And the way Jam tells the story is like 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, a call comes like from within the house over their intercom. And Janet is excited. So she's sharing with him like it's going to be called That's the Way Love Goes. And she goes into the concept of what the song is and just kind of like reeling all of these things off. And so that's kind of how it came to be. And I'm so glad about it because, as you know, I love this song so much.
The team fell in love with this single, and they actually pushed for this to be the lead single off the Janet project. However, the heads at the Virgin Records, they were wanting something big and tip from Janet.
Sure. And the story goes that when she left to have a meeting with the record execs at Virgin Records, Jimmy Jam and Chuck D were in the studio. And so they were playing some tracks for Chuck D. And so while Janet's away, presenting the idea that like, we want this to be the single, when she comes back, she shares with them that the record execs are still really wanting a big single. They're still really wanting If to be #1. And it was Chuck D who kind of chimed in and was like, yeah, If's bad. Like those are bad. But That's the Way Love Goes is really where it's at. And like you were comparing earlier to Sade, that's kind of what came up with him. He was like, you can make a smooth, mellow entrance. And sure, you can get people's attention with a flashy, big pop banger. But this will be unexpected. and maybe draw even more attention. And so the group was really on it. And so Janet went back and she pushed and pushed and pushed. And we know for sure that she won because we have That's the Way Love Goes as the first single.
And it turned out to be a great decision because when it was released, it actually debuted at number 14 on the Billboard Hot 100s. And then 2 weeks later, it was number 1, becoming her 6th number 1 single on the Hot 100.
And when we talk about the kind of the transition, this music video really introduced a new Janet to the world. It picked up right where Love Will Never Do kind of left off, where you see a more sultry, more soulful, more free, I guess is the word, Janet, kind of free with her personality, free with her sexuality. You know, you definitely got to see a different side of her in that music video.
Mm-hmm. I think it's just funny to see Janet in her element. We see her playing with her, talking to her dancers, you know, being silly and just really relaxed and comfortable in who she is now as Janet in this stage of her career and in her life.
Yeah, that promo really took me out. I remember being so excited for this video. And at that time on MTV, like the Jacksons owned MTV and VH1. I remember waiting for the video and seeing the promo and thinking to myself, like, what? This video has a promo.
Yeah.
And it was so good. Like you didn't see Janet Jackson at all. You just hear her voice and she's talking to her dancers. And so, you know, you're trying to figure out what is this about, where she's revealing really more of her personality than ever. And we can't even see her. We definitely met a new Janet Jackson. And I attribute it to like all of this happened around the time like Poetic Justice was coming out. And, you know, hip hop was kind of taking over and we've got Janet Jackson releasing a new project. And the thing that I remember is she said hoes so many times in that promo where it's like, I think at one point she called someone backed up hoe. And I was just, it was just so much. And I was just like, wow. Poetic Justice really did a number on you, ma'am.
She was showing her gangster. She had to play with John Singleton and Tupac. She probably learned a little something from them too.
Quick Poetic Justice story. When I was in college, I had one of those fancy TV VCR combo deals. It would play the tape and then rewind it and then automatically start the movie again. So I'm pretty sure we put Poetic Justice in sometime around November, and I finally took it out in May.
So you guys watched Poetic Justice again and again for a full semester?
We watched it so much that when we left school, my roommate had to buy her own copy because she couldn't sleep without it.
Is that your favorite Janet Jackson movie?
It is not.
The one thing I do also remember about the video was the fact that J-Lo was in the dance with the kids, was supposed to actually go on tour with her. And unfortunately, she at the last minute, I guess, decided not to. But even the dancers, I mean, before the Janet project, I was just used to her dancers being in all black and just killing their steps. Whereas in the video, they're lounging around and she's got the cassette in her hand. She was like, maybe I'll play it. Then one of the dancers grabs it and she was like, okay, I'll play it now.
Yes.
You know? And then when she pops it in that stereo player and you hear that guitar lick, dun, 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 and you knew something great was about to come out with this video.
Yes, definitely.
I think every family had some sort of stereo system with the double cassette.
Listen, we still have ours at the house. And I bought recently an adapter so that it could play Bluetooth.
Not the Bluetooth.
Yes. Our 7-foot stereo system now can play Bluetooth.
I know this is a bit off subject, but do you remember when like y'all came down one summer and y'all had like a 6 CD changer in the van?
Yes.
And we were sitting up there trying to figure out what 6 CDs are we going to put in this van just to go to Walmart.
Yes, we took it so seriously. Like, we need to have a soundtrack for this trip. We were very serious.
Summer in the dirty South.
Yes, getting back to That's the Way Love Goes. I'm still in love with this video after all of these years. It was directed by her ex-husband, Renee Elizondo. If we're being honest, anytime he did a slow jam video, those videos were hot. Like he did He did the remix to Together Again. That was a great video.
Yeah.
He did Again, which was a great video. And this one for sure. And maybe there were others, but these are the ones that stick out in my mind. Like them slow jams.
Come Back to Me comes to mind for some reason.
Yeah. I don't know if he directed that. He was in it.
Yeah, he was in it.
Yeah.
I just know he was in it.
Yeah, so that was a good video. I really enjoyed it very much. And again, we talked about how we got to just see her in her element with her dancers who we know are, basically her friends, her friend base. And it was just fun to kind of be let in to that world where Janet Jackson, for all the interviews that she does, we see her a lot, but you don't really know who she is. You know what she gives you, right? Like, she's not a person who is caping for the limelight. So we don't have a lot of like, what is her life like off stage? And this was one of the times where it felt like she was really letting us in. Even though we know this video is fiction, you could imagine that this could be a day in the life of Janet Jackson.
We can't talk about Janet without talking about the MTV Music Awards performance that she did for this, and also it was a melody with If on the end. She killed that.
Absolutely.
I still today love to watch this performance. And the funny thing about it is, for That's the Way Love Goes, on the video there's no dance steps. It's all two steps. But when she comes on the stage with the performance, she takes that two step, but she adds a little bit more to it and actually kills it as she goes into the If melody.
I still remember this performance when I think about great Janet Jackson performances, and there are so many. But of her award show performances, this one is definitely in my top, I would say top 5, probably in my top 3.
It's my number 1.
It's so good.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember as a kid watching them perform. And at the time, we didn't have all these internet stats and all of that stuff. But I remember seeing Janet Jackson and her dancers and thinking they had to be like 9 feet tall. Because when she was on that stage, she owned that stage. And they just looked so much larger than life. And, to find out that, she's this tiny woman, it had that bubble burst many years later. But even still now, like when you see her on stage and she's tiny, but when you watch her perform, it's just her presence is bigger than you can ever imagine. And just being in the room with her and you can feel it. But that day it came through on television. Like, she owned that crowd that was in that room.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure when she was done, people were probably looking for the exit. Like, well, that's all, folks. Like,
that's all we got.
There's no more. There's no more.
I honestly don't even remember who all performed on that show. I think maybe Nirvana, and that's it. I don't remember who else performed on that. That's how much Janet, that stage, her performance was just the highlight to me. That's my opinion. I might be biased, though.
We definitely biased, and it's okay.
Yeah. And the awards that came along with this song, it actually won Billboard's Awards Top R&B Airplay and BMI Pop Awards. She won Most Played Song, which I can believe because, like I said,
it was everywhere.
Everywhere.
She didn't win a video award for that, and I thought she might. I thought that video was really well done. But that year, she was against an MTV Music Awards. She was against In Vogue for Free Your Mind, Mary J. Blige for Real Love, and Michael Jackson for Jam.
It ain't too hard for me to jam.
And then That's the Way Love Goes was nominated as well. And In Vogue actually won that year, which is interesting because I love In Vogue and they're back, and I am still a super In Vogue fan. But I never think about that video. And it was a good video. I just never think about it. Not the way that you think about That's the Way Love Goes.
Yeah. I think with In Vogue, though, it was just the fact that they were a R&B group, all-female group doing something different, more of a rock edge to it. And the video had a whole lot of props with it and stuff like that, where Janet kept it cool, simple. But I mean,
she shouldn't have even been in the best choreography category, if we're being honest.
No, not if
we're being honest. But it is interesting that the choreographers, one of them was Lavelle Smith for In Vogue, and we know that he has done work with both Janet and Michael Jackson, so they were in good hands with their choreography. So no hate there. Still love In Vogue, but if Janet shows up in a category, I want her to win.
One thing I want to add real quick is VH1 did a poll about the 40 greatest songs of the 90s, and it came in at number 4.
Wow.
So
And that's how it should be. I can't imagine what 1, 2, and 3 were.
I have ideas, but nah. So I take it.
Yes, I'm for that. Number 4, I'm for it. And let's just talk quickly about, we talk about her longevity and how long you and I have been fans of Janet Jackson. But when this song was out, when That's the Way Love Goes was out, on the charts was very interesting group of people. So when Janet was number 1, there was PM Dawn was on the charts. The Spin Doctors was on the charts. Vanessa Williams and Brian McKnight. Duran Duran. Actually, the week that she was number 1, Michael Jackson's Who Is It was on the charts at number 6. Yes. Then we had Jay, Don't Walk Away, Silk with Freak Me, Whitney Houston with I Have Nothing, and girl Rod Stewart, Have I Told You Lately? So it's a trip, like all of the people that she has legitimately outlasted. She's still current and still relevant today, yet she was on the charts.
Now that's
PM
some stiff
Dawn.
competition with Rod Stewart, Whitney Houston, and Mike.
Whitney Houston, Mike, Vanessa Williams, Brian McKnight. She battled it out.
Yeah,
she
he
battled
got
it
the
out.
hits. And that's one thing I wish this younger generation will see. It's just that with someone like Janet, she has that footprint of, you got to put in the hard work. It don't come easy. It's never been easy for Janet.
Not like you would think it would have been. You would think it would be a little easier because of the family legacy, but to watch how she has had to kick through every door to prove herself time and time and time again. Like, people have been counting her out since 1986. It's like, get over yourselves, guys. Like, when she's done, she'll let you know. Yeah, so that's it for That's the Way Love Goes. It was a fun talk. I'm glad we did this song. I got a chance to relive it again and feel my childhood self. I watched the performance on MTV and got just as excited as I did in like 94. So
I
that was a
enjoyed
lot
it.
of fun.
One of my favorites, though.
So now we're going to switch to play a little game.
Yay!
We're calling it the match game, and the way it works is Cammie and I are going to try to answer questions the way that we think Janet Jackson would answer them and see if our answers match. So earlier, we emailed our answers, and now we're going to open them and see if they match. The first question was, if Janet was going to a potluck, what would she bring?
And you actually put hummus.
Hummus, yes. That's a great answer. And you put Rotel.
Cause
Please explain, my love, please.
let's be honest. If someone say, "Hey, we having a Super Bowl party, we having a party, what you bringing?" You gonna bring 2 things: some chips or some Rotel, cause it's straight. Cause you could feed a lot of people with Rotel. Now, I personally have never been to a party with hummus.
If I'm at the party, there's hummus at the party. I can promise you that.
Okay, answer this. What is hummus?
Hummus is a delicious dip made from chickpeas. And the reason I thought when I first read it, I was like, our answers aren't that far apart.
Yes, it is.
And now that you are explaining that, it's because we needed to stretch. Like, Janet Jackson is using coupons to buy her Velveeta.
Trust me.
Our answers are very far apart. I picked hummus because I don't know if the woman cooks. She might. I feel like she can do everything well. Like, if she decides to do it, she can. But I don't know if she's decided to become a cook. So I was thinking we need something simple that she can take in a variety. She doesn't have to put any real work into it, but people will still be excited that you showed up with it. So that's why I said hummus.
Ain't nobody come to.
Rotel is involved. Like, it's a simple recipe, but you still got to do stuff. And I don't know if that's on the agenda.
Trust me, with Rotel, all you gotta do is get them blocks of Velveeta cheese, that Rotel fry that ground beef, and you got it. You could feed some people off.
See, I don't think she's taking ground beef anywhere. Like, I feel strongly that the vegan or vegetarian is not taking ground beef.
Well, put some cauliflower in
So
it.
we're going to take, I'm not even going to tell you. I just made this delicious cauliflower lentil. It was so good. But anyways, I feel strongly she's not taking ground beef. So we did not match. I thought it was closer because we both picked dips, but clearly we picked dips for all the different reasons. So we're going to call that not a match. And if we're going to give it to anybody, I would say it's got to go to hummus.
I still don't even know what hummus really is, but okay.
It's delicious. I'm going to bring you some next time I see you.
No, don't do that.
Okay.
Okay.
Next question was, what time does Janet Jackson wake up?
And you put 8 a.m.?
I really thought I put earlier than that. You put 10 a.m., which...
Yes.
Explain, please, ma'am.
Because there's an unwritten rule that when you're resting and you don't, you off, don't call nobody before 10 o'clock. Like, that's just a rule. Why would you call Jen? Why would Janet wake up at 8 a.m.? Come on,
She
man.
would wake up at 8 a.m. because she has a child, and children do not let you sleep that long.
We've seen the pics. She got a name.
Which is why...
It's Randy.
Which is why... I haven't seen Randy in a while, so I wonder what's going on, because he wasn't...
Trust me.
He was in a lot of pictures, and now, when we see her out and about with the little boy, it's just her and... I don't want to say randos, but sometimes it's just...
Trust me, Randy's at the house. He's like, whoo, I get a break. Then he's back to being a nanny.
That's too funny. Yeah, so I think she wakes up super early. I put 8, but I think probably 7 is more accurate. Man, go home and ask your mama what time she woke up when you were a baby.
She ain't had no nanny.
I feel like she's a very hands-on parent.
And I feel like she has help.
Oh, definitely. Like, this is not a solo endeavor, but I feel like she's a very hands-on parent and wouldn't just be like, okay, I'm going to sleep till 10 and y'all don't wake me. Whatever happens, just let it happen. Like, I feel like that's not going down. But anywho, let's move to the next question.
All right. Next question.
What is Janet Jackson's favorite sport? You answered tennis.
You answered horse racing.
I did. And now that I have heard it back, I think your answer is definitely better.
And I must admit, I kind of cheated a little bit because I remember seeing a picture of Janet at the U.S. Open. So I was like, yeah, she likes tennis.
Yeah, I was like, that makes sense. I could see that. Because I was going through my mind and I was like, I've never really, you don't see her at like Super Bowl games, or I think maybe like once when she was with Jermaine Dupri, I saw her at a basketball game. I mean, I feel like that's not things that we normally would see her doing. So I went with horse racing because I remember in an interview, she said that when she was a child, she desperately wanted to grow up and become a horse jockey. And so I'm thinking like, okay, well, if you like to ride horses, maybe you like the Kentucky Derby or something like that.
Didn't her and Toya go to Kentucky Derby one time?
You're right. I do remember seeing those hats. That's what I remember is the hats.
So I'll let you get away with horse racing, but you got to give me my Rotel and my 10
I cannot give you either of those. Rotel, I can never give you. First of all, I've never had Rotel. So I think...
What?
I think I get the concept. Like, I know what it is, but I've never had it.
You didn't have nothing at my sister's wedding?
No, there was Rotel there?
Yeah, that's always Rotel at a black people wedding.
I've been to many a black wedding, and I've not seen Rotel.
Okay, it might be a southern thing.
So that's it for us this week. On behalf of myself, Courtney Stribling, and my cousin Kam, we'd like to thank you for spending time with us. If you'd like to reach us, you can do so on Twitter and Instagram at JJTodayPod. That's at JJTodayPod. Our intro and outro music, Good For You by THBD, is licensed under the Creative Commons Attribution 3.0 license.